had to jump out on that point, run around, look out for diamondback rattlesnakes, get in front of the boat to get the light, the reflection, the cloud, the mist, and the people fishing. So that took me 5 minutes. Now I've got a picture that's worth 5 minutes. I can use it for the rest of my life, but I had to put my rod down. That's sometimes really hard to do. Morning bass fishing, popping bugs, but 5 minutes out of my life, it's fair trade. This is my friend Mark. He has a fly shop in Chile. He's from Oregon. And so I go fishing with him whenever I can. Now I'm walking along, there's this great waterfall, it's a really cool place. And then because he's in, your standard sort of Sims, Orbis, Cabela's looking stuff, I go over here, he sort of blends into the rock. I go over there, he blends into that stuff. But I finally hopped around to a rock, 5 minutes, silhouetted him against the white background, and got the right shot. It took 5 minutes because it's so easy to go, oh, that's pretty cool, click, and keep going. But it's that little bit of searching that helps get a better shot. Boom, ended up on a cover. Now you saw this one earlier today. Just got out of the boat. Now those guys are going, gosh dang, how many times is he gonna make us roll over to the shore and take a picture? Well, just the fact of life, you don't do pictures, you're gonna annoy people. And so I got out to get the picture of the rocks, the water, the scenery, etc. And it took 5 minutes. Okay, let's add other sort of dynamic things to pictures for scenery, adding elevation. Now today a lot of people use a drone, and they're pretty cool. They're a little more work, you gotta be pretty dedicated to do that, probably have a use for those shots in a brochure or website, something like that. And so here's some elevation plus stop the car. Now, up high, you get a lot of twisty, curvy streams, you just get cool stuff from up high. This guy happens to be fishing, we don't know him, he probably thinks we're steals something out of his car, but he was also wearing a little red, that didn't hurt, although I'm not red, there's an old rule in photography, if you can't do it right, do it red. And I didn't stop the car. See, my brother is not a stop the car person. When we lived in the Seattle area, we'd go skiing in Idaho, we wouldn't even stop to pee. I mean, no coffee today, anyway, we're driving to Sun Valley, and you get there, you're just dying. He's just one of those guys. But if you want to take better pictures, travel with people, then stop the car. And I put this down as do it again because I was fishing with a guide in Belize. Cool little funky island. There was some bonefish on it. We'd come walking this way. There was a few, they weren't very big. They looked like 2-pound bonefish, but we caught one. That was fun. It was such a pretty place. It was great. But I sort of wanted to be able to explain this to someone because I'm fishing. I'm not taking the pictures. So I gave my camera to the guide and I said, hey, I'm going to do it again. And just document what I just did. It's not really faking it. I'm just casting, but I was kneeling down and I made the cast and he took a picture, came out fine. And I just like to do it again sometimes because sometimes once isn't enough. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Now style, very interesting word. Now the style in this photo, and I purposely picked this one because we all have style. The color of your socks, how you do your hair, color of your car, whatever you do that's visible is style. So just a curve in the river with the foreground in focus. The fisherman's rather small. So to me, my style is I love curves in rivers. I like the foreground in focus too. I don't like my fishermen to be too big in the picture. I like them to just be part of the scene. I think the scene is what's cool. And the fact that it's a fishing scene is great. So we've got a curve in the river, boom. Everywhere we go, we can add a little elevation, curves. That's fine. It's just style. You all have it. You all take pictures your own way. Here's a curve in the river, foreground and focus. Do you guys have any trouble with people from Utah? I only say that because these two guys are from Utah. I'm standing on the bank, fishing upstream, dry fly. Boom! Woolly bugger right there. Like, what? Boom! Woolly bugger right there. I've never met any other people from anywhere that are so rude. But anyway, I'm getting even with it.
They drive that way too.
Which one?
They drive that way too.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, so curve in the river, big puffy white clouds, style. You'll have your own. You'll figure it out. People say, Brian, I can see your pictures in a magazine. I don't even see your name. I know your stuff. So now I think I need new style. So low angles are just as cool as high angles. And I mean, like this is like not a great, fantastic shot, but it's a cool place. Tofino, BC, it's on the west coast of Vancouver Island. They actually rent these boats, and you go way out in the ocean, salmon fishing for silvers, king salmon flies, and you actually, most of the time, can return the boat. I don't know how many people get lost, and they just show up in San Diego or something, but they'll rent you a boat to go out in the ocean. Seems ridiculous. So I've taken their picture. This one guy's got a fish on. Not just sort of boring, so I got a little lower. Not great. I held the camera right above the waves, over the side of the boat, sort of shot up at them, and then it was sort of a keeper. It wasn't half bad. It went from a D to a B, not an A, but the low angle to fish. I do these a lot. And again, kind of fish eye level. It gives you a proportionately, anatomically perfect fish every time. Gills down, touching the water, that's kind of nice. Low angle, when I walk down a trail, I saw these two guides talking early in the morning, sun coming up through the fog. And from up above, it was kind of okay, but I kept walking down next to a dry little side channel, dry creek bed like thing, and I shot up at them. So I was about ankle level, shooting up. And that low angle made it really, really cool. And my buddy John, I'm on this one side of the little island, I walk around, he's got a fish on, it was just a little snapper, and I just go, John, just hold on a second. Like, this is in the film era. I get up my camera, it says 36. My last picture on this roll, the sun is 6 minutes away from going down, so I took the little mangrove bush I traveled with and put it down. No, I didn't, that was already done. But Koki, the guy, K-O-C-I, he's kneeling down, looking good. There's a lot of guides. Once someone's hooked up, they start looking for another fish. And so they'll be looking backwards the wrong way. And you get your picture and look, they go, oh, no, he's looking the wrong way. But he's looking at the fish. John is, got his knees bent just a little bit, for balance on the boat. And he looks like he's fighting a fish. Now, most of the time you pull your camera out and someone's fighting, they go like this. They don't want to move because they think that they're doing you a favor by not being blurry or something. It looks like a statue in your lawn. It's just not good. So I yell at people, act natural. And then they go back to, oh yeah, okay. And then they look good in the picture. Anyway, that was a classic scene. But I looked, it was good. I went down, then I got down, way down, almost at the deck of the boat height. And that looking up part made it, another 20% better. The cut in half angler just happens. I can't get up high to silhouette them against the bright silver water. If I get low, they're camouflaged in the background, so they just happen. Sometimes they just happen. Now this is it's a pretty good silhouette, even though it's sort of a cut in half angler. But I just tell people I was shooting the dog, and it was fine. But beautiful boundary waters. We talked about that earlier today. But again, just kind of every rule applies here. I could keep fishing and not do the shot. I could see it, take a picture. Probably not as good if I moved 30 feet ahead and took the picture. So maybe it took 2 minutes out of my life. Here's that picture from Ascension Bay when the day was too good. Now it's elevated, it's not a drone shot. So elevated means I travel with a little 3-foot extension pole. It extends out to about 5.5 feet. Put the camera on it, autofocus on the guy, put it on automatic timer, click, and I run it up. I stand up on the seat in the boat, and I run it up, so it's about 15 feet up from the surface of the water. And you get a nice elevated shot, which shows all the color changes, and it's just a neat perspective. Because everything at sea level, because we're all, let's say, the tallest person in this room is 6'5", all right? And then the shortest person is probably me, someone's probably shorter. Anyway, we're in the same zone. Our eyeballs are in the same zone. We see everything pretty much the same, whether we're this tall or this tall. Every day, all day. If we can go lower than that, it's more interesting. If we go higher than that, it's more interesting. So we just, even though 99.9% of all pictures are taken at eyeball level, 5-something to 6-something, kind of boring. So high or low. Just another nice high shot in the boat with the pole. Now sometimes I don't travel with that pole. It's heavy. But I'll just find a stick and I'll put a little small tripod that's a little backpacker tripod on it and duct tape it on and hoist it up. But at sea level, looking straight across, you have no definition of these channels, the color changes, and etc. So high is really nice. This is Bikini Atoll. This is one of my favorite trips of my whole life. I was sent there by Film Street magazine. They're the first fishermen to fish Bikini Atoll after 50 years, because they did all the nuclear testing stuff there. So the islands glowed red hot for years, and everything was dead. And they started doing a dive operation there, and I read about it in a dive magazine. So then I called the consulate, and they said, yeah, we can take you fishing. And I called Film Street, and they said, yeah, we'll give you a ticket. Off I go. But I had to get it cleared with our U.S. Department of Energy, because the soils are still radioactive. You can't eat coconuts and things like that. And so I got a funny scientist on the phone. And he goes, well, Brian, are you married? No. You having kids? No. He goes, good. Like, well, he was teasing, because I'm going to be radioactive. He says, yeah, you just take your film and rinse it into the water, and that'll develop. And so I got a funny scientist. Cool. Well, anyway, there's a big mound of dirt here. It's probably radioactive, but I climbed up on top of it and held my camera over my head. Now it's with a polarizing filter on a pro camera, not a phone, that darkens up the sky, and it gives it that floating on glass look, which is really cool. So, elevation, very cool. Here's the elevation. This time I had to take my shoes off and get on a muskrat mound in the Louisiana marsh. Muskrat mounds are mud and muskrat poop, and it's gross. And the guy was going, no. But I did it. I held my camera over my head, and he had a redfish. I put a little heat on it, came up, splashed around, click, done. Because on the marsh, it's so boring, so constantly the same everywhere you look. A little elevation shows the creeks and indentations and things like that. Up on a hill in Chile, I had this one in earlier today too, that elevation gives you the color change, silhouettes the line against something dark, shows scenery. It's a great package. Up actually I think I was on a bridge here, and the guy's landing a fish. You see the fish down there. And I put the shutter speed really slow to blur the water a bit, and got high. And that high shot's just different. Doesn't mean it's the best or anything, it's just different, which is kind of fun. The boring bullseye. These are 4 super drunk house painters from Renton, Oregon. I didn't know that at the time. But on Kodiak, and that picture's a little more green than my original, but just from projection or whatever. But this is the Emerald Isle of Kodiak. It's probably as green as you can get for anywhere. When the sun's out, it's spectacular. Well, there are only 2 boats on the river, the Carlick River. It's one of the best rivers in the world. And steelhead, king salmon, coho salmon, just fantastic. Well, you fly into a lake and you look down past all these bears, and then you fish all day and you get picked up at the bottom, and we were the only 2 that flew in that day. These guys were drinking social like cherry brandy at 9 in the morning, and by 2 in the afternoon, you could hear them coming a mile away. They're having a great time. Well, I don't know them. I'm fishing. Uh-oh, check this out. A curve in the river, foreground in focus. See, my style's getting repetitious. I've got in a rut. I need to shake that. So anyway, they're floating down. Oh, it's a red raft. That's kind of cool. Well, they're in the middle of my picture. I don't know these guys. I can't say, hey, row over there. I just don't like the subject dead center, even though 99.9% of the pictures are taken straight on, subject dead in the middle. That's safe. Your focus is going to work fine. It's easy, but it's just better to have your subject off in the middle, I think, myself. I call this one the tour bus, or 30-second rule. Weird words, I know, so here we go. If you've ever been to Paris, tour buses pull up to the Eiffel Tower. And depending on where they park, not everybody can see the Eiffel Tower. They get out of the bus. The first person stands here, and takes a picture. The second person stands there, third, fourth. They go line up the bus, then they're all back in the bus and they go. Well, now if the bus parks somewhere else, then we get a different picture. Or, if you get off the bus, look around, maybe only walk a minute that way, and then you get the reflecting pool. And you get the reflection pool of the Eiffel Tower. 100 times better picture. Takes 30 seconds. So this was my 30-second experience. So the boat is down around the corner. My friend Joel is from Livingston, Montana, guides in Chile, and we're fishing just for fun. And I didn't make him wear a red shirt. Like I said, I'm not totally into red, but a little color spot now and then doesn't hurt. Well, amazing mountain formation, real pretty river rocks. I'm passing him up to fish upstream. He's in a great little spot. I look back, I go, God, that's kind of pretty. And now normally, that's when you take your phone or your camera out and you go, look, I'm done, bye. So, I thought, that's good, good, good. I worked up a little farther. That's not bad. I moved out in the river a little bit so I can silhouette him against a darker background. Fly line looks good above against the trees. But when I moved out, I got all these rocks, which are really beautiful. And so it was 30 seconds out of my life, and it went from probably a B+ picture that turned it into an A-. So that's 30 seconds out of my life. Remember the tour bus. Okay, the hero shot. The guy or woman with the fish. And that's a nice king from the Sandy River in Alaska. So what I like in the hero shot, because they're actually harder to do than you think, because they're so easy. You see them every day on Instagram and everything, and you can point out the little mistakes. It's like a size 14 Adams. If your proportions aren't right on a size 14 Adams, it's so obvious. So here we've got, see, I like rod out the back. If you want to rod the picture, I like it on the tail hand, armpit, out the back, because that hand's not going anywhere. The front hand's got a little more responsibility. And actually, he's gouging that fish a little too much. It's a big, fat salmon. It's kind of hard not to, but you should slide that hand up and open the fingers up and put it right between the fins. There's a hard spot there. And then you'll have that big belly. Plus the heart of the fish is right there. That can't be all that good. So anyway, you got to get ready, because this is going to be a 20-minute fight. You might as well, get your angle figured out, talk about this, you want your glasses on or off. I mean, this is kind of for him. I don't do much with hero shots. Occasionally you sell one, but I'd rather do a fish shot than a hero shot. So anyway, he's looking good. Oh, wait a second. You see that strap on his waders, and they flip the pocket up a little bit? That's one demerit right there. A good shirt, handsome, rugged-looking dude, that's fine. Good hold, except for that little gouge, and low shot, eyeball level. So that's all look pretty good. Then I always tell people, look happy, because if I'm on a job and I'm doing a brochure or website shoot for a lodge or something, and people help me, they get this look on their face like, and I go, well, what are you doing? He goes, well, this is really important. This is a big fish. And we'll look happy because they're trying to book trips. They don't have a bunch of sour-looking, mean-looking people. They want happy people. So just tell people to look happy. That's usually kind of funny, so they chuckle. Now, my friend Craig in this next picture, this is him looking happy. He just caught a 25-pound
That would be me.
And now that's him. That's as happy as Craig can be in his whole life. And you got to do a little coaching sometimes. Oh yeah, okay, me. But too blue. I was doing a video in Alaska, and the video guy gave me that shirt. I like worn down, used shirts. Not quite so Hollywood blue, but great. Nice kind of low to the fish eye, looking at the fish. You look at the fish or look at the camera. We'll talk about that in a minute. I like the hero shot with habitat. So remember we talked about the boring bullseye, because it's a safe shot, it's always in focus. Because your camera generally focuses in the middle. Well, almost everything, now your iPhone, you just tap wherever you want to focus. It's brilliant. But your pro cameras and your point and shoot cameras have photo lock. And so you would put let's say we wanted to get that pike in focus, and we'll probably get some stuff behind it in focus too, so that's great. So I hold the camera at the pike, and I press halfway, and then I move over to a click, get habitat in there, and they stay focused. That focus lock is really important. You can do composition, and your subject, no matter where it is in the picture, stays in focus lock. It's really handy. And then you've got whether to look at the fish or the camera. Here's a quick little story. So I've been to France a couple times for some just drinking wine and having fun, and then I fished in France. And the number one fish in Europe is carp. And their carp tournaments are equivalent to NASCAR here. They're huge, they're big money. And we think of carp as kind of, what's a carp? Kind of fun, but it's carp. So they take it so serious. Their equipment for carp makes our fly fishing gear look like Walmart on sale. Their equipment's super expensive. They have a thing called a landing mat. And they take it to the lake, and they lay it down, and it's made of a material that's for burn victims, because it imitates human skin. Very expensive. And they get the mat wet. So now it's got this feel, it's nice, like that's pretty nice. Okay, they land the car. Then, they land it on the landing mat, because you wouldn't want to have a carp on the grass. Land it on the landing mat. Then they take the hook out, and in their kit, they get a little iodine, and they put a little iodine on the hook mark to make sure it's sterile and clean. Oh, that's good. And then they do a picture, they hold the carp up, and the carp isn't exactly gorgeous, you know, I mean, all animals are beautiful in their own right. And then they make a face, like they want to make love to her. Oh, baby. And it's kind of gross, but they are respecting the fish. They can't look at the camera. If you have a big carp and look at the camera, they'll throw you out, they'll beat you up. So that's very disrespectful to the fish. So they get off the landing mat, and they, ooh, baby, and they let it go. And so, when you look at the fish, it's a fish photo. When you look at the camera, eyeball the camera, it's a people photo. There's two different kinds. I like them both. If you want to give a picture to a buddy, email it, blah, 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 yeah, look at the camera, but you can do both. Because on an up-down, the fish, which is 2 seconds, up-down, 1, 2, done. Fish is gone. So I just kind of like looking at the fish, and it just takes that personal aspect out of it. But that was a long speech. I promise I won't do that again. Okay, just fish are kind of hard to do. So, well, they're hard to do by yourself, but with help, it's kind of fun. Now here's just a straight down, which is kind of neat. I don't see many people do the straight down shot in clean water. I've seen people do it when they're in the shallows of a river. It's all muddy. It looks kind of gross. But when there's moving water, dark water, sunlight, it's kind of a fun shot straight down. And then, oh, that nice big brown. Is that my phone? I'm so bad. Getting low again. I don't need the whole fish. The reason is, okay, it's just more fish, that's cool, but most of the big spots and the aggressive, nasty brownness of this fish is up front. And if I get the whole fish in, I either have to move way back or zoom out, and it takes the fish smaller, smaller, smaller. So I'm gonna keep it kind of big and in your face. So I've got a nice blurred background. This was actually a day with a thin overcast and bright sun, and I call it bright cloudy day because it's like a diffuser. It's great for scale, detail, and scales, but not on the bright side of the fish. You can see on the shoulders and the backside, it's going to be all blown out. But the shade side, with that diffused light, is almost like a studio. And it's cool. So I use about 2/3 of the fish usually. I throw in a great big fly, like big rubber legs like this. It's fun. And there's movement in the water, and the fish is breathing. Now we torture fish. I mean, that's what fishing is. We torture fish, and then we're happy about it, and then we let it go. Sometimes we whack it with a rock. But but a color hit like that, moving water. This was in Colorado. Fun streamer fishing. More information, more storytelling in each picture. Bubbles are great in pictures. Fish is happy. It's breathing away. I think it's like actually I kind of dig it. It's like, oh, wow, look at me, my picture tape. So. And then pike coming up through the grass, because that's their natural habitat. Big fly in there. I don't need the whole fish. What good would it do? This is a cool look, just up front. And again, that goes back to style. In the watercress, you know, kind of fun stuff. Snook in the habitat, shiny fish, but dark background. There's a finger in the picture. Well, that's my buddy going like this. Out of the picture. I don't want it in the picture. I think the snook's cool, just like that. Eyeball level, low to the shot, low to the water. Polarizing filters, if you can use them on your pro type camera, not a point and shoot, not an iPhone, but they screw in like a filter, and then you rotate them, just like your fishing glasses. When you go like this, you can see how everything changes while you're changing the angle of it. That's the same thing as a rotating filter, polarizing filter. So, oh, look at that. There's those Idaho guys. I mean Utah guys. They're spreading into Idaho. So a couple things here. We got polarizing filter on the left. Almost too much. Now you can dial it until it's really blue, really white clouds. And that's a little over polarized, almost like a Hollywood movie set scene. Plus, I just noticed I've got half sky, half earth. And then on earth, I've got half water, half grass. That's almost too set up, maybe too perfect. Great day on Madison, but that's maybe over polarized and just over everything. Medium polarization on the middle, so that the blue is really pretty natural, but it does pop the white clouds a little bit. And then let's see, that's Beaverhead. This is Big Hole, and that's 5-minute rope. 5 minutes to climb up the mountain to get an elevated